Alright, today's lesson we're just going to briefly go over the first 4 legal moves that we are allowed to do on using algebra tiles. So first and foremost, I want you to take a second and pause the video and write these in your notes. You are going to need these 4 legal moves, plus we're going to add 1 or 2 more to it later on in another lesson. You're going to need to be able to write these out. Today's whole assignment is you being able to show that you know what each of these mean on algebra tiles, so making sure that you pay attention to the rest of the video to know exactly how to do that. But pause the video, write these down, and then press play again. Alright, so now that you have these written down, we are going to go ahead and look at each one of these. So first one is change subtraction to adding the opposite. We're going to do that by taking everything that's in this bottom section, because it's a subtraction, and moving it up to this side, which is the adding side. But now remember, it says change subtraction to adding the opposite. So imagine this line kind of like a barrier. Anytime you move anything past a line, it has to change signs to the opposite. So this y, when I move it up here, can't still be positive. It has to change and become a negative. This x is already a negative, so when I move it up here, it becomes a positive. This 1 is positive, so when I move it, it changes to be negative, changes. So that is what that first step means to do. You're taking everything from the bottom section and flipping it to the top, but when you flip it, it has to change signs. So if it was a positive on the bottom, it's a negative on the top. If it was a negative on the bottom, it's a positive on the top. That is what your first move means. So again, when it asks you to show a picture of that, you can actually show arrows and drawing them to the top, or you can do a screenshot of your original figure and then your second figure and to show me what happened, okay? That's number 1. Number 2 says combine like terms. This just basically means we want to put the ones that are y's together. We want to put the x's together. And we want to put all of our ones, like we're basically combining them up here. So then that way, whenever we do our third rule, we can see all of the stuff together, right? You're not going to write 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus negative 1 plus negative 1. You're going to write 4 plus a negative 2. Okay, so again, just combining like terms basically just means clumping them all together in the same terms. So if I were to look at this screen really quickly and I want to combine like terms, I'm going to put all of my x's together right here. I know I'm going to move these up here, right? So when I move them, they're going to change signs. So this is now negative, this is now negative, this is now positive. But notice as I'm moving them, I'm putting them all together. So all the x's go there. I'm going to combine all of my ones right here. Remember, when I move it from the bottom to the top, it changes signs. So now I have all negatives. And then I'm going to move this one up here and I'm going to change its sign. So not only did I complete rule number 1, which is flip everything from the bottom to the top, but then I also combined everything. So all my x's are here, all my y's are there, all my ones. Okay? Rule number 3. We're going to remove 0 pairs. So that means anything that equals 0, which is a positive and a negative. So right here, positive and negative, gone. These 4, both positives and negatives, gone. Then I can write what I have left. I now have x squared plus x plus 2. Going over here, I can remove these 4. That's it. So I now have 2x plus 2y plus a negative 4. I can do the same thing for these. Now these screens look differently than what we've had before. It's just basically 2 separate problems. And we're trying to figure out which one is greater. So we're going to look at the left side first. We're going to do rule number 1. Flip everything to the top. And as I'm flipping it, I'm going to change its sign. As I flip it, I'm going to change its sign. As I flip it, I'm going to change its sign. Perfect. Everything's flipped. Now I can remove 0 pairs. Perfect. Okay, this is all I have left over here. I'm going to leave that alone for a second. I'm going to come over here. As I move everything, I'm going to flip it. So I'm going to flip it, flip it, flip it. Notice, one more. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to remove 0 pairs. All 4 of these are 0 pairs. Okay, now I'm going to look at what's left. This comes into play in my 4th rule. We haven't talked about the 4th one yet. The 4th one is remove equal values from opposite sides. Now again, remember, these are 2 different problems, which means these are problems on the opposite side of the equal sign. Imagine this, which is greater, as an equal sign. If I have something on both sides, it's exactly the same. It's not going to move, right? Think of a teeter-totter, right? If I have an exact 100-pound person over here, an exact 100-pound person over here, unless somebody kicks off and gives it more pressure, it's not going to move, right? They're exactly the same. So I can take something that is exactly the same on both sides and just get rid of it from the problem because it's not going to change the value, right? Imagine that this is a +2 and that this is a +2. Well, it's still going to be the same amount, so I can get rid of both of those. That's what my 4th rule says. And then I can just look at what I have left. I have 1 over here and I have 1, 2, 3 over here, which means which side is greater? My right-hand side. That's a quick synopsis of the rules. I'm going to show you one more screen and then we'll be done. So again, take everything from the bottom, flip it to the top. Remember, when you flip it, you have to change the signs. Rule number 2, combine like terms. So I want all my x's, all my y's, all my xy's, all my 1's. I don't have a lot of like terms here, but this is what I have. Number 3, if there's something on both sides of the equation that's exactly the same, I can get rid of it, like those 2, like these 2, like these 2, and like these 2, which means I have -2 = 0.